Hi guys, welcome to my new channel. My name's James, thanks for joining me. And with this channel, I wanted to create a channel that was meaningful, one that had a lot of content that can help out someone that is looking to up their photography game. Now, I've got quite a lot of experience within the photography and film field. I do it every day as my job, and it's one of my biggest passions. I'm always watching YouTube videos for learning more, getting inspiration, love being out and about shooting. And with that knowledge, I wanted to create a channel because I get asked pretty much daily about like my settings and how they can kind of up their photography game. So with this channel, I'm going to use my knowledge that I've collected over my career so far, put it all together in like a video series. And this is going to be the very first video where we're going to discuss the very basics of using a camera. So if you're one of those people that maybe got a camera for Christmas or their birthday, not sure quite where to start with photography, or if you set yourself a New Year's resolution to become a better photographer, maybe you already have a camera and it's sitting on the shelf, not doing much, getting dusty, you've kind of lost the passion for it. This channel is for you guys. We are going to delve deep into learning how to use your camera to the best of its ability to get the results that you want and make you a better photographer. Let me just start the whole series by saying I'm not the best photographer. I get by. I've learned everything I know through YouTube. I didn't go to college for it. It's purely by working in an agency, on the job, pushing myself to learn more, watching a lot of YouTube channels. So don't take everything I say as the best advice. There's thousands of photographers that are better than me, and they will probably have a different way of learning than I do. But my biggest thing that I take from learning anything is practice. And that is what we're going to be doing in this series, a lot of practice. Let's go through a scenario. You've got yourself a new camera for Christmas or your birthday and you take it out of the box. I mean, well done you for getting this camera out of the box. It's quite a beast. Very lucky you are if you got this one. It's taken me quite a while to get up to this level. But let's just say you've got a camera. Doesn't matter what level of spec it is or how old, as long as it can shoot in manual mode, that's what I care about teaching you now. So you've taken a few shots in auto and they look great. I mean, cameras nowadays are great. They can take great shots, but deep down, are you truly satisfied with the shot? You basically held the camera and framed it, but the computer in the camera did all the hard work for you. You didn't really know the shutter speed it had chosen. You didn't know the film speed, the ISO, so it could be quite noisy. The aperture it chose to get the blur and how much in focus. So auto's great, but it isn't what you want. As a way of getting into manual for a beginner, I like to focus on these three elements, which I like to call the magic triangle. Now, let's draw it. So, within that triangle, you've got aperture, you've got ISO, and you've got your shutter speed. Keeping it basic, first up, we've got aperture. Now, aperture controls the creativity of how much is in focus within the photograph or film. So, if you wanted something to be very much in focus from the front of the scene to the back of the scene, like a regular landscape shot where you've got a rock right at the front, that's a sharp, you got the sea sharp, you got background mountains sharp, that would have been shot at like an f/16, if not higher. If you wanted something, say like a portrait of a person, but you only wanted their face in focus and the background blurred out, you'd have to shoot at about like an f2.8. So next up we got ISO, and what this is the film speed. General rule of thumb for this one is the lower the number, the less noisy the image is. And when I mean noisy, I mean that grain you can see. So we always want to try and keep that number as low as we can. And then lastly, we have shutter speed. This allows us to keep the shutter open for longer, to allow more light in, or to close it quicker to let less light in. Now this controls quite a lot of creative flexibility. Let's say I want to capture a dog running across the field, legs galloping, and when you get the photo back, the legs are blurry. And that's because the camera has decided to let the most amount of light in and hasn't taken into consideration what actually the subject is doing. So you get a well-exposed picture, but you get very blurry dog legs. To combat this, if we had a faster shutter speed, which closes the shutter quicker, those dog legs will become sharp. Let's say, for example, I wanted to capture a lovely seascape where the ocean's all flat and calm, even though on the day it may have been wavy. Now to do that, you have to have your shutter speed open for a longer amount of time. That way, time passes, the image is still being recorded, and over time, that wave becomes a flat, tranquil sea. Auto is great. It can get you by in a lot of instances where you haven't got time to dial in the settings. But as soon as you want to do a bit of creativity, you can't rely on the camera to choose for you. It doesn't know you wanted to capture a dog moving fast. It doesn't know you want to capture a sea but make it calm. It doesn't know that you wanted the background blurry but the foreground sharp. So these elements all need human touch, not the computer in the camera. So when using the magic triangle, you need to remember if you change one setting from one of the points, the other two settings may need to change in order to get a proper exposure. If, for example, I wanted to freeze time, which would mean increasing the shutter speed to a much faster setting, that means less light is entering the camera sensor. So the knock-on effect is one of the other two settings need to change, if not both of them. So for example, your ISO would need to go higher, but the negative of that is it introduces more noise into the photo. You could lower your aperture down to the minimum your camera lens can do, but if you're already at the minimum, the only option is, unfortunately, to increase the ISO. So as you can see, there's a knock-on effect of all 3 points depending on which one changes. Best advice from me to you is just to take your camera out, put it in manual, and experiment. Give it a go, just trying different settings and seeing what results you get. There's no right or wrong to this. Everyone had to start from the beginning, but this is the best way, in my experience, about learning which settings affect the exposure. In a few weeks of practicing, your fingers will automatically start knowing their way around your camera. Each one's a little bit different. I'm a Canon shooter, so I'm very used to kind of the layout of a camera from Canon. Usually a DSLR will have a dial on top, and that usually controls your shutter speed. You also have another dial by your thumb. This controls your aperture. And then you have an ISO button, which you click once and then start controlling your ISO. It becomes very fluent after doing it for a while, so you can even practice this while watching TV. It's something that I did actually to get used to holding a camera and getting used to where the buttons are, because there have been times where you are shooting literally in the dark and you need to feel around for that relevant button. The good thing about the ISO button on this camera, for example, it's got a little nipple. I can feel it, and it's different to the other buttons, so I know when that is ISO. That's it for this video, and thank you for sticking around, listening to my boring voice. Probably not the most exciting video to start with, but quite an essential one. Look forward to hearing any comments you have. Like I said, I'm not an expert. This is just my learning, so feel free to comment on how you see the best practice. I'm always up for a debate, or any questions you have. Look forward to hearing. There's loads coming up on this channel. Hope you subscribe. Hope you like what you've seen so far. Very entry-level stuff, but we're just going to get more and more advanced as the weeks go on. So hopefully see you on the next video. Bye for now.